To sum up the whole thing, you can see that from all the speakers, the premise of 10 years is a bit pessimistic, because I think from the data and from listening to Andrew, Rungkan and Satomi-san, the future is still bright for physical books and physical bookshop. And the main thing, as you can see from them, is innovation is always important. Leveraging technology is very important. And of course, the connection with the customer. So I think I want to talk about connection with the customer, and the one with the most customers at the moment is Andrew. You want to start off? Or you can say something else, it's okay.
For sure that, in the next 10 years and beyond, there will be more and more bookstores. I think now the industry has gotten to almost its lowest point, right? And it will start picking up again. Because we all know that humans want physical books.
I agree.
If you look at the amount of people here, this is a Thursday afternoon, right? And it's packed. So it's just the book industry changing the way how books are sold. So individually, we just have to look at ourselves and how we can capture the 90% of the market that is not reading. This really proves, here the proof is in the pudding. And I always say that if you feed the stomach, you have to feed the mind equally, right? And I think there is hundreds of thousands of restaurants in Kuala Lumpur, and there's only probably a handful of bookstores. So there is supposed to be 100 or thousands of bookstores in Kuala Lumpur, right? So let's work towards that and how we can together achieve it.
So Rungkan, do you agree with this? Because you already streamlined to still a formidable number of bookstores, 240.
Yes, for my idea is like, I think more bookstores will coming up, but we come with the unique ideas and also deliver more experience to the reader. And maybe to come up and mix together with something else, not only just the book, but create some experience for the customer.
Yes. I think also Satomi-san has mentioned the leveraging of technology, and what he mentioned was the human touch has always to be there, but then technology can be utilized fully to make the experience of the customer more delightful.
Yes, totally, I agree, yes. I think it's again, I just talked now, I feel that after the COVID, especially through the pandemic, we feel we need more and more human touch. But sometimes we also realize how useful the technology things as well, like Zoom meeting, online meeting, everything. So we can make use of these kind of things more and more.
That's why you see me taking a lot of pictures, because this is a part, like Big Bad Wolf and the rest of us, social media is something which is a platform that helps us to amplify and connect with our customers. And it's a very useful, and of course, in the case of all of us, we are always aware that the accessibility to the customer, irrespective of your business model, must be based on your ability to connect by using technology. But technology alone is not enough. Like you can see for Book Access and Big Bad Wolf, ambience. This is something that even Kinokuniya we talk about a lot about, experiential retailing. And I mentioned this to them a million times, so they are well aware of it. Because the physical bookstore requires physical things, not only the books, but things like events, the human connection. So events and all kind of innovative ideas you can propel publicity is really important. So Andrew,
I think I would like to say that I'm not an authority in the book industry, but we all know that the book industry has never seen its true potential. And when I say its true potential, meaning that because we all know since 500 years ago when books was started coming out, right? 90% of the world then and 90% of the world now still don't have a reading culture or reading habit. So it has never seen its true potential, right? And the day that this 90% has a chance to read and can read, that is when we leave it up to the people to decide, you know, where is the true potential of the book industry. So what we are trying to do on our end is to engage with the 90% who are not reading, you know, who can read but they don't have the reading culture or the reading habit. So by doing what we do and making books, you know, affordable and accessible.
I think bookstore is a critical in the ecosystem is because of the people moving around here and the kind of products or the kind of books are available. It can only be discoverable when you are walking to the bookstore. It is not at all possible when you look at digitally those books. It's not searchable. When you know the book, you're already aware about the book, that you can search it. But the moment you want to discover and you want to see your choices and the preference and you want to read those books, that is only bookstore. The other part I want to also highlight that bookstore also employs a skill set of people, those who are literate. They can also guide you in the direction of the shelf or the books they should reading it, about their preferences and the choices they want to make it, which is impossible to do in the digital medium. And that is why the bookstore and the presence of the bookstore is so critical and important. And I have a message which I want to read for you guys. It came from one of my friends from the India, and he runs a independent bookstore in a city called Jaipur, which we call it a pink city. And he says, bookstore is well defined by our future as a society. It's topsy without bookstore. I mean, without bookstore, and any publisher or anyone can't think of surviving it, because discoverability is so essential and the requirement of the reader.
Totally. Rumkan, you would like to add to that? The idea of, all bookstores have this idea of, we call it the secret sauce, serendipity. You go into a bookstore, whether it's a specialized bookstore or a bookstore that has a generalized bookstore, any kind of bookstore, it's a physical experience. And sometimes you can't get that on screen, because you go in the bookstore and discover, hey, actually how come they know I want this book? And it's a book I never thought about, because you may be thinking of something. So the serendipity is a source of joy and a fantastic experience for a person who finds what he wants.
Yes, I think what we are doing now is that we need to work out together from the publisher side and also bookstore side, working together and try to create the special moment or the special area for the customer in every section that we focus on. It's like if you try to focus on children book, you need to create more experience for children and parents. And also if you create something for fantasy, you need to build up some imagination in that area. That I think it would need more. And also at the moment, the reading book is the world trend. So I think publisher need to focus on what to find out, what is the book that customer looking for. It's like in Thailand, every time that I buy the license for the most favorite book, like New York bestseller, and try to editing it well, it's always success. So it all together, it's every section in the business that working together.
I think I buy your point, and I think that is why we at Nielsen works a kind of communication between the bookseller and the publisher, so that it's been like an informed decision. So we collect those sales information and we inform the publisher what is the idea of bookseller and what is the readers wants to buy. So it should not be the case that they are investing on some products or some books which is not going to work in that market because people are not interested to buy. So for example, crime in fiction, crime thrillers works very well in the UK market, but it doesn't sell well in the Indian comparatively. India reads so many non-fiction books. So if the publisher keep investing on the right products, I think it will help the bookseller to sell and make it more effective use of their bookstore. Yeah. So I think more informed decisions makes the success of the industry and the supply chain involved.
Another issue that was brought up by an earlier panel that is very interesting is the Singapore National Library. They mentioned they want to be a sort of a Netflix. And it's quite interesting. What they did was they did a physical pop-up store that is totally manned by nobody. They had a robot in there, and all you need to do is use one of the National Library related cards, scan, go in, take the book, and this store just does manga. And shocking to some, but not to Kinokuniya, is all rented out. Which comes to another issue that we want to mention, which is addressing trends with the help of data, of course, in terms of what customer want. And we found out that manga has been growing crazily. In fact, it's more than 20 years since we concentrated on manga and comics. And this area will continue to grow. And one good news I'd like to share with you is that scanlations and free manga online is not difficult to get. A lot of the big publishers like Shueisha, Shogakukan, Kodansha actually gives free translated manga online without subscription. And even if you don't go subscription, there's something called scanlations, meaning manga that are translated by fans themselves. And as soon as the manga comes out, whether in Shonen Jump, which is the weekly, or through the collected version, they already have it. The good news is these things are still going on, but customers still want the physical copy. Once you're emotionally invested in something, it can be Colleen Hoover, it can be Chainsaw Man or Demon Slayer, they want a physical copy. Which is why bookshops like us, all of us, we leverage our competitors. And our competitors know each other. Our competitors are actually, currently the biggest competitor I think we have in National Library agrees is the competition for time. You can watch Apple or Netflix on your iPad or your iPhone or on a big screen. So how do we leverage that? Very simple. You see a lot of manga adaptations called anime animation are available on Netflix or one of the boxes that are not legal. But as I said, if you have the product, they will come. So thankfully, the future is still bright for physical. Any thoughts, Andrew?
I believe that humans will know what's good for them. Right now, we hear a lot of noise, that digitalization, whether it's YouTube or basically digital media, right? And humans will come around. They will know what is good for them. They will know what they want. And publishers, this is a call for publishers to be ready to be able to sell to the 91% who cannot afford to read. Because when I say affordability, it's not about, you buy one book, at a cheap price. The kids need books every day. And so if you talk about even one book a week, a family of three, right? 3 kids, You need 154 or 160 books a year. How is any family going to be able to afford 154 books a year for the next 15 years? You know, and majority of the world cannot do that. So it's the affordability issue, and my point is always on the 91% of the world, you know, who cannot afford to read. It's not supposed to be a one-off thing. So if publishers can somehow come up with a model that they can lower the book price drastically and sell more in volume, you know, everybody will do well, and you can see a lot more bookstores mushrooming everywhere.
Accessibility is something that I think you touch on, which is very, very important, because they can, in the long term, when someone reads a book which they have no access to in the past because of affordability, they will open and blow their minds. And once their mind is blown, as they progress in life and their careers, the whole ecosystem will benefit. The libraries, the publishers, the bookstores of all kinds, online, etc. So, I see your point.
There is no turning back once you switch on the person.
For me, time is a problem, personally. Rungkan, you have anything to add about that? Affordability, because for CN, you sell to students a lot. And students' affordability is the prime concern, especially for their parents and, of course, the students themselves.
Actually, for Thailand, we need to publish for the children book very variety, because there we have many kinds of segment of the market. So some publisher is good to produce the premium price children book with our feature add up, but for some publisher can do like a very cheap and good price, but they are also go to the mass market, and for that point is also concern. You know why? Because in Thailand, I think for selling the children book for the whole country, we need to concern in both sides of the market at the same time. That was a concern altogether, but depends on who are good at that kind of section.
Vikram, any thoughts on this?
I think affordability is really important. I think if I look at India as a market, the price points are there throughout. I mean, there are publishers who are publishing children books at a very, very low cost, but at the same time, there are publishers who are publishing Jeremy Silton, Jeff Kinney kind of, because of the reason of the royalty, they publish so in a higher price point. So I think diversity is important to survival of the industry. Like for any industry, you need to have the complete ecosystem. You can't just have a kind of low price book versus the high price book. But at the same time, I buy the entry point about accessibility has to be there by the medium of digital or physical, and also the content is so important because ultimately it helps in growing the literacy or the education in any given of the markets. That's why book reading is so important and the critical element for any development of the nation.
I agree with what I agree with what Vikram said, right? Because you take India as an example, books are extremely affordable there, and they have the highest readership.
Since you have touched the children, I would say that Kinokuniya and the store like Kinokuniya, they do so much of the side works, like author shows. They bring the author who talks to the children. So it's not just only a direct reading, but also making a medium of reading. So a store like them, who does so much hard work on bringing the authors and curating a lot of shows and the workshop within their store, it does involves a medium of instruction. Otherwise, if you leave the customer with the reader with the book, he might not be able to understand the book or might not be able to understand the diversity involved and the kind of range of books are involved. So I think that is also very critical and important along with the accessibility.
Because I think, speaking in general, the ultimate aim of every bookshop is to have the range that the customer wants. And the range itself is not important. What is more important is that the person once they are blown their mind, whether through Kino or through Big Bad Wolf, they open their eyes and they will discover things they never discovered. And when you get them young, that is when the spark comes off. It happened to me also as a young child, I guess. It was so long ago I can't remember. Anyway, that is why the other point about social media remains very strong. And all good bookshops focus on trying to hook the next generation. And of course you all know the next generation is Generation Alpha. And they are 18 and below. But they are coming strong. And like the later ones, the Gen Z, they already hooked by the bookstore. That has things they want. That's why COVID, when it happened, really opened up the demand for physical. In fact, Jin Tan, the CEO of National Library Singapore, used the word phygital. The phygital reader is adept with cyberspace and also adept with physical. Good example, scanlation. You read a translated manga on screen online, and later you watch the stream, the animation, and you come to the store and buy. And it happened in a lot of stores, not only in Kinokuniya, but also from reading the journals. The Gen Z enthusiasm is unleashed. So Big Bad Wolf also will have may have the same experience.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. And back to the topic, will there be bookstores in 10 years? I believe definitely there will be more and more. I think we came to the peak where we all know the effects of digitalization, and I think most humans now know that the good and bad of digital.
Yeah.
Like our handphones currently, right? When we first got hands on our smartphone, we thought, wow, what an amazing thing it is. Now our phone has become a curse. Every morning when we wake up, we are even scared to look at our phone because it's true, right? So people will go back to physical books, and we need to be ready, for the market.
First it was revenge travel, now it's revenge reading, physical reading.
Exactly.
We have a bit of time, so now few minutes. Would you want to open the question to the floor?
Anybody have any question? Just one question, we got 3 minutes more. Anyone want to ask any question? Yes, Dato' Ivan.
To me, I feel book selling will never die. You'll be forever there. It's only changing trend. We have to change accordingly. And the world is more than coming to 8 billion people, and everybody will read. Only what type they read and what type will come out. Whether it's physical or whether it's digital, some like physical, some like digital. We will never die. We will be evergreen.
Thank you, Dr. Ivan. I think one thing to add to book selling is that, especially those of us in developing country, we are moving to developed status. The society is getting more and more learned every day. The thirst for knowledge gets higher. Moving towards high income, we will have to read, alright, in order to feed the brain to earn more money. The future is really, really, really bright for us. I speak to every one of the speakers, right, from budget book to mid-level to high level. Ask 2023, how is your business? Has it increased 20%? They say higher. 30%? Higher. 40%? Higher. 50%? Higher. Actually, frankly, right, you look at the trend,
the growth is really, really tremendous in every segment actually, which is, it proves the point that there will be bookstores forever, we hope, right? Alright, Candy.
Thank you, Keith, on that upbeat. I will just end by saying this. Technology is frightening us still. You all know ChatGPT. You can go in, key in, I want to write a speech. Mine is not ChatGPT. But the future would be a lot of these menial tasks like coding, like speeches, like lawyer's brief will be done by artificial intelligence. Which means what? We have to upgrade. And how do you upgrade? You read. Because when you read, you spark your imagination, you spark your brain to reach a different level of imagination and creativity. You can only get this through books. So on that bright note, I would like to compel everybody, especially the younger ones, through their parents and guardians, read, read and read. That is very important. And as you know, the Archangel Gabriel, when he met the prophet, peace be upon him, what did he say? Read. So, I think we end on that note. Thank you.
Alright, thank you everyone. A round of applause to all our panel speakers. Now we will move up to Bilik Kuala Lumpur at level 5. We'll continue with book innovations, book data, book selling school, publishing school, book garden, and a lot more interesting topics. Thank you everyone. God bless. Have a wonderful evening.